Hey everybody, Laser here. Today we're going to be playing a 3-color control deck from Tenshu, deck that I found on Mythgard Hub that looked really interesting to me because I don't really play 3-color decks, but this one looks kind of good and it looks fun, so we're going to give it a shot. It has a very small amount of green cards. You can see as we scroll through, it's almost all purple and orange. Just does a little splash for 2 copies of Wake the Bones for some recursion, and a copy of Bald Mountain to make our spells cost a little bit less. I like this a lot. They're all 1 gem cost, so you don't need to invest in the color to happen. And they're both effects that were definitely. In orange, we have some of the mid-range and control tools that we've seen in other videos. Things like Ghoul to shut down graveyard strategies, Rooter for sticking power, Resupply Caravan for ways to burst out damage, Dark Passenger for removal. Ifrit and Parry are just a really good kind of 3 and 4 core. They have some anti-synergy, but they're both such high power level that it's okay. Raziel, Keeper of Secrets, is one that I actually didn't even have. I crafted for this because I really want to play this, and it's a really interesting inclusion. It's a 4-drop 2/6. It's a very defensive stat line whilst blocking, and has Warded, which is super nice. It can divine for 2 and gain 2 energy, which is really strong. Being able to have some card selection, make sure you're always drawing what you need, can be really powerful. And the branding, where you draw a card and your opponent discards a card at random, is insanely interesting. Now, of course, you do lose at least 1 energy every turn as your opponent draws, but you know, it's still really cool. I don't expect we're going to be ulting it anytime soon, but if we do, then it's awesome. Sign of Pride, we talked about, crazy versatile, really strong card. It goes in almost every orange deck ever. Seal of Exile and Temptation for our mid-game removal. Depending on what you're seeing a lot of, you can switch out to 2 Seal and 1 Temptation. 2 Seal is maybe a lot because you don't want to be sacrificing your gem and mana all the time, but depending on what you're seeing, could be very good. 2 Shield and Lavish Proxy and Armageddon Angel because they are the best 3 cards for orange control at the top end. We've talked about them in previous videos. Not going to go into them too much because purple is one that we haven't talked about much on this channel at all. Purple as a color is one that I haven't played a lot, which is why I really want to play this deck. Starts off with Ghost in the System. Very strong 2-drop. Makes your opponent have a hopefully dead draw. Hopefully they just grab something to burn and therefore they don't really have a lot to do with it. 4 copies of Sword Saint because this is a source of healing. Because we can slap the Biting Blade onto something, give it life tap, swing through, get some of our life back. We have some really large creatures to put this on so we can get a lot of health back. Misfortune is my vote for probably the best purple mythic in the game. It gives an enemy minion fragile, and when it dies, it deals 2 damage to its controller, and you get Misfortune back. This means that even really small minions on your side can really trade up very effectively with your opinions. Fragile 3 is a really strong effect, and I think this card is just absolutely disgusting. Neogangam giving Warded. I think this is probably one of the most slept on cards in the game. I think it's very strong. Road to Eidolon is really interesting in that it locks the opponent minion's strength to 0, which means that it just can't do any damage unless they add other things. I actually am not sure how lock works. I think it means it's just always 0 even if you add buffs. We'll take a look at that during the games and see how it ends up. Feng Shui Master for Enchantment Hate, Pinnacle of Flavors to snowball a lead. If you throw this on something with a Biting Blade, it's absolutely nuts. Reincarnation to recover from board wipes insanely well. Spirited Away for a little bit more removal is triple purple, so likely a burn target early, but can be very good for dealing with things like Sapo, Ikuturso, some of those really big threats in the late game. 2 Tarragon and 2 Lantern Colossus round out the threats. And we are running Impel to be able to make some trades happen, and Turn of Seasons because it's still very good. So that's the deck. We're gonna run this a little bit. I've never played it before, so probably gonna play it in casual, just because I always like to start in casual when I don't know how something works, and then work my way toward ranked after I've gotten a feel for it, which I highly suggest you do if you haven't. All right, getting into a game. We're against Gangray. Not sure how it's pronounced. They are on disc, so they are very likely on Reanimator. But we don't need 2 Sword Saints. We will very likely burn Wake the Bones, as the odds of us drawing another green card to play it with are very low, and also we don't have any need for recursion early in the game. Scion of Pride and Lavish Proxy are both stupidly good, as they can shut down reanimation really, really well. Ooh, they're also on red, so maybe not reanimate. Okay, they're going to Divine. See what the discard is. Pit Fiend. Ooh, interesting. Some graveyard hate coming through. I think we just burn Wake the Bones for now and go for Ghost in the System. This gives us some information. I want to give him the Wings of Abaddon because it is more expensive than he can play, and also it has already been burned. So that is literally just a dead draw right now. Not that, of course, we're particularly concerned with him having dead draws when he has a fistful of cards, but, you know, it helps. Looks like they're on mono red. A draw here. Fine by us. They're putting on very little pressure. So we have some options here. We can burn orange in preparation of going Xerxian and then another 2 if we draw into it, or Sign of Pride. I don't think we're all too concerned about setting that up. He does have a somewhat aggressive deck between Pit Fiends and the Wings of Abaddon, and we saw the second Pit Fiend on Ghost in this system, Scry. But I don't think we're under enough pressure for Lavish Proxy to really be too big of a deal. Although, we don't have anything else to play if we don't play the Sword Saint. If we think we're on a pressuring plan, then we want to establish board control on one side and try and punch through. That said, we're also very fine with this going slow, so not in a lot of hurry. Okay, Muse looks a lot like just mono red, which is fine by me. And a Calliope Muse. This is someone who was doing a whole lot of divination between his power and that. Ooh, Rogue Eidolon is a phenomenal draw. It will lock this at 0 so we can swing in and get a favorable trade. I like burning Lavish Proxy given that we have really good board control as it is. We'll lock that to 0, get the value trade, swing in. Going well, going well. That is phenomenal for us. That is not a great Crimson Pact target. It does shut down an entire lane for them, so I understand wanting to. However, we have a lot of much beefier threats, which they probably just don't. Sword Saint down. Burn the Temptation? No, let's burn the Ifrit. Recruiter is going to be the play pretty much every time. Bald Mountain is going to be our next play. We have no spells in there, so Bald Mountain is not particularly high value. It can make our Temptation cost less, which is kind of nice. Okay, no problem. He gets a trade. Yep, there it is. Note that they do not have Journey of Souls, so there will be no recurring value for them, which we're happy about. Ooh, and pitching a Seafire. No removal for him. We can just ditch the Bald Mountain, put down the Lantern Colossus. Now that they have very few cards in hand and we are just pushing damage pretty consistently, I'm actually going to split this up so we can reliably get damage through on one side of the board or the other. Yep, that's basically, effectively, we have just done 5 damage to them. So we have options. I kind of like the idea of Scion and then turning this into a 4/4, but also don't really need to. We're pretty happy going along, so we'll start with parry at the gates. We'll take a Sword Saint because we can play it. And we don't really feel the need to burn right now. Like, sure, we could get up to Armageddon Angel, but we could do that next turn, so there's not a lot of need, and I'm kind of happy keeping Scion and Temptation. One consideration, Scion does have Overrun, so that could have potentially opened up lethal a little bit easier for us next turn. But I feel pretty confident either way. Okay, Hecate's Wheel and Wings, I guess taking out the Ghost in the System because it has 3 health. Yep. 2, 4, 5, 6. Not quite. So we're going to Scion. Turn a thing into a 4/4. And we'll win the game off that. Cool. Went pretty well. So let's see if we can get another game going. Ooh, we got the last seal on our chest. You know what? Let's go open that. I'm on the last of the, I think it's the last of the Harmony quests. I have to burn a bunch of purple cards. Let's see what's in our chest. $2,000, not bad. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Let's go get our packs off of that actually. While we're here, right? And let's see what we got in here. Anything good? Rare. Alright, cool. Dire Benediction. Given that we got the chest, I'm actually going to call it there. I feel like the chest is a good way to, you know, celebrate wrapping up a deck. I'm probably going to play this one again in the next video. I'm going to play it between now and then to get a feel for how it works. And take it into ranked next time. This was really just to show off what the deck looks like and the general idea of it. Next time we're probably going to skip the idea and the description of the deck and go straight to game. So if you did like this, there will be a link to the Mythgard Hub link in the description. When I find decks that aren't mine, I'm going to use a Mythgard Hub link instead of a deck code because I want to give the author the traffic, right? If their deck is solid, then I want to redirect people to their deck. It just seems like the right thing to do. Yeah, so that'll be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps me out a whole lot, and we will be doing this again in the next video. But until then, I will see you all next time.